Hello everybody and welcome to another mixing ritual. Today we're gonna mix something special. We're going back to the 80s. We're gonna mix some good old thrash metal.
Once upon a time, a tectonic cult was born. The cult's original, its story has been told. Travel back in time, to a land of steel and cold. A youth who is retired, its spark of thrashing fire. Like the heat of an ash.
What a cool song, right? It has all the trademarks, everything we love about thrash metal. And this song is not only cool, it's a very special song for several reasons. This song is called Total Thrash, and it is the title track of the movie Total Thrash, which is a documentary about the German thrash metal scene in the 80s that has just been in German cinemas and that you can now get on DVD. There's a link below. Great movie, please check it out. It shows the early days of bands like Kreator, SODOM, Tankard, Holy Moses, Destruction, and others, and showed where this music is coming from. Because we all know there has been an American wave of thrash metal in the 80s with bands like Testament and Exodus and others, but also a German wave with the bands that I just mentioned. So the song we are about to mix comes from a band called TRAITOR, German thrash metal band, and the cool thing is that it features no other than the legendary Mr. Tom Angelripper from SODOM on vocals. The whole album was recorded, produced and mixed here at Kohlekeller Studio in our second control room by my dear colleague Kai Stahlenberg. And TRAITOR are such a great band. Please check out the links below. Fantastic band. If you're into thrash metal, please check them out. And yes, you can download the multi-tracks of that song. You can mix that song yourself. Link below. But let's talk about German thrash metal first. Well, I remember my first contact with thrash metal was either in '89 or in 1990. It was right after the German wall came down. And I remember reading a review about Extreme Aggression from Kreator, that album, in German Metal Hammer or something. And it was supposed to be just to sound great and it was album of the month or something, I remember I didn't like the cover very much because there were no monsters and no blood and shit. It was just like four dudes. But anyway, it was supposed to be a great album. So I went to town and bought it. And I was 11 years old. So I didn't know that you could actually listen to records, vinyl, back then, before buying them. I didn't know that, so I just bought it. And back then I was already a metalhead when I was 11, but I was listening mainly to Warlock, Doro Pesh, hard rock, and Halloween and Manowar, like melodic hard rock metal bands, something like that. So now I got this record, Extreme Aggression from Kreator, and I remember coming home. I had put all my money into this, and it was such a disappointment. I was so shocked. Extreme Aggression. It just sounded like pure freaking noise to my ears. It was so heavy. It was so freaking heavy. And I was so disappointed. It was just noise. And I remember just playing it whenever my parents had visitors. I can still recommend to get a copy of Kreator's Extreme Aggression. Just in case your parents show up, it's always helpful. But eventually I got into this, and later I fell in love with that record. It's a great record, and I even like the cover these days. Especially the title song is just fantastic. So right now I will walk you through the multi-tracks of that song. I will show you what you can expect. You can get your hands on the multi-tracks. You can get the course. There are two ways how to get there. Either you become a member of KOHLE Audio Kult, my academy, and get hours and hours and hours of different courses, different multi-tracks, and a lot of cool stuff, and you become a member of a great community, and I promise you will learn a lot about recording, mixing, and mastering heavy music, all kinds of genres. Or if you just want that course, if you just want to start mixing thrash metal today, you can also purchase only that course and get your hands on the multi-tracks right now. And in a few weeks, I can't exactly tell you when, we will add another chapter to this course where my dear colleague Kai Stahlenberg, who mixed the song, will walk you through his original mix. He will show you every step of his mixing process, every plugin and everything he did to make it sound like it sounds. And mixing thrash metal is rather special if you ask me. First of all, the guitars are tuned quite a bit higher than we're used to these days. And then you really want that aggressive, in-your-face, super fast attack kind of guitar tone, almost piercing, that aggressive thrash metal guitar tone. You will also get the DI tracks, so you can reamp the tracks yourself, or you can play around with the tracks that Kai recorded for you. You want that aggressive dangle bass tone. I think that was invented by bands like Overkill or Nuclear Assault, and you want to get a decent balance between making it sound modern but not too modern, like a good balance between the 80s and today. And I think Kai did a great job here making this happen. Alright everybody, let's unpack and open up the multitracks. Kai has just given them to me. It's the first time that I check them out, and I want to show you what you can expect. Here we go. So this is the main folder, and it contains several subfolders. It might look a little different when you open this up, but we got a drum folder, guitars and bass, effect samples, vocals, master, add tracks. Basically, you got the drum tracks in here, and that's what we're gonna start with. I've already imported the drum tracks here. So we got stereo overheads, sound like this. Snare bottom. Pretty fat sounding deep snare. We got 4 toms. That's what you need in thrash metal. Pretty fat sounding toms. Obviously they need a little more high end, but they sound good. Then we have the cymbal spot mics, hi-hat, ride. We actually got 2 ride cymbals and a china. And let me explain that. So one is ride, the other is ride bottom. So the drummer is not playing 2 rides. We only have 1 ride cymbal, and Kai mic'd it from both sides. So probably just to have a little more options. I'm pretty sure he didn't use both tracks, because typically if you mic a ride cymbal from the top, it's going to sound brighter and mostly better, but you get more spill from other cymbals around it. And if you put a mic underneath the bell, it sounds darker, but you get more isolation. So let's have a listen. This is the top right mic. And it sounds great, but you can hear there's a lot of china like on that track, and it sounds a little broken. Let's listen to the bottom. Sounds good too, and this is exactly what I expected. So this sounds a little darker, but you know, you don't have that much of the china bleeding into the mic. Anyway, you can use them both. Then we have the china mic. Great sound. I guess this is our 18-inch Wuhan china. Lovely sounding cymbal. Then we have 2 room tracks. This is the first one. Rode ribbon mics in the back of the room, but same level, like close to the floor, like the drum set. And then we have another one close to the ceiling. Which sounds quite a bit wider and a little more washy. But you have like 2 tonal options. Let me just switch between the 2 room mics. I don't know what Kai ended up using. He will show you in the next chapter. And you may have noticed that we don't have an acoustic kick drum, and that is because we played a kick pad. The drummer played a kick pad, and Kai recorded the MIDI signal directly to a MIDI track. And you can import the MIDI track here from the drum folder. Let's just move it here. And it comes also with a triggered snare track. So you already have the MIDI information too, and you just need to move it to where it belongs, which is here. And then you have the MIDI notes of the kick drum, like this, and the snare drum too. And the snare drum looks a little more dynamic here, at least on the breaks, on the drum fills, like this. But Kai also included another chapter, which is called Add Tracks. And what you find here is the kick sample that he used. So this is his final kick track, at least his final sample, excluding any processing, EQ, compression whatsoever. You can use that, but feel free to come up with your own kick sound. Feel free to use other samples. This is what he used. You don't have to use it. Then we have 2 additional snare sample tracks, and these are the sample tracks that he used in the mix. Let me just import them as well underneath the snare. So we've got one. And this is interesting. So we've got one snare sample that is playing through the entire song. Sounds like this. And then we got another one called Snare Ring Stereo. A more ringy sample, obviously, just playing on some of the parts. Interesting. But let's have a listen to our drum tracks, completely unmixed. Nice. Let's move on with the bass. We only have one bass track, which is called Bass DI. Let's move it here. Kai will show you what he actually did to that track when he makes the mix rundown video. In the meantime, you can use this track, this DI track, and make it sound dang, 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 you know, clanky, like a thrash metal bass is supposed to sound. The DI track sounds like this. Nice. All right, let's move on with the guitars. We've got 4 guitar tracks, and Kai has given you both the DI track, so you can reamp the guitars yourself, or you can use his tracks. We've got one pair called Engel Savage, and then we got another rhythm guitar pair, guitar 3 and 4, called Guitar Kemper Engel RB. And Kai told me this is a Kemper profile that the band TRAITOR and Kai actually created during the sound check. And RB stands for Ritchie Blackmore. So this is another Engel amp. This is the Ritchie Blackmore amp. And I will pan those guitars left and right. And we'll have a listen. This is the Savage pair. And this is the Ritchie Blackmore. And all 4 together. And this is another good example how you create like a wall of sound. So you see that Engel Savage sounds pretty mid-forward and kind of throaty, if you ask me. Like, but it has a typical Engel attack, and the Ritchie Blackmore sounds much fatter. And a little more dry and with a little more top end bite. But overall, a very cold and aggressive sound that just, I guess, suits that kind of style. Let's have a listen. And let's have a look at the vocals. So 2 folders, main and backing. Let's start with the main vocals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks. Let's move them here. Let's put them on my vocal bus so we have a little reverb there. And here we got Tom Angelripper singing the first verse.
I'm a tectonic cult was born, a culture rich and old. Its story has been told.
Then we have another track from Tom Angelripper for the chorus, and then we have Andy, who is the main singer of the band. He's singing the second verse here.
Imagine thrash, years of progression. The torch was passed in a flash.
Thrash, nice.
Total thrash, a nerve-wracking slash. Total thrash, like a never-ending rush. Total thrash, part of your blood.
That's a lot of fun to mix, isn't it? Oh, great song. Then we've got the backings, Andy left, right, Tom left, right, and Gang left, right. Let's just move that here. Boom. Okay, so left, right, left, right, left, right. This is basically just the chorus, the total thrash, I guess.
Total thrash,
So we've got Andy,
total thrash,
we've got Tom,
total thrash,
and the gang.
total thrash,
Not very tight,
total thrash.
but maybe that's the magic. So let's have a listen.
Total thrash, a nerve-wracking slash. Total thrash, like a never-ending rush. Total thrash.
Nice. And then finally, let's add the so-called effect samples. So we've got an explosion. That looks very loud, so be careful with this one. Explosion, fire, gunshot, reverse cymbal, reverse vocals, and a swell. Boom. Okay.
Fire, like the hit of a lance.
And I assume this is the solo. Let's also add the two solo tracks. What a cool song. That will be a lot of fun, right? So I guess it's not too difficult to make those tracks sound cool because it's all well recorded, all well done. But then again, you can get creative. You can find your own bass tone. You can reamp all the guitars, use your own guitar setup, real amps or plugins or a Kemper or anything in between and make your version of the song. Feel free to be creative. You don't have to copy whatever Kai did. And like I said, in a few weeks, Kai will be back inside the Academy and show you every detail of his mix. In the meantime, make sure to download those tracks, to get your hand on those tracks. Either get the chorus or get the membership in KOHLE Audio Cult. Have fun with those tracks and let Tom Angelripper and TRAITOR thrash you a little more. All right, everybody, I'm sure you want to mix that song, right? I'm sure you want to get your hands on those tracks. It's quite special, it's quite unique, and I can assure you it will be a lot of fun to mix this song. Once again, there are two links below. You can either just purchase the course or you can become a member of KOHLE Audio Cult and dive deeper into the art of recording, mixing, and mastering heavy music. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to say hello to your grandma. I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.